Hi, and thank you for coming in. So, just wanting to talk about laurel leaf, bay laurel, and womb health. So, laurel or bay laurel has a history in divination and ancient festivities. And in fact, the ancient Romans featured it during Saturnalia. And to consume this herb during a meal or to inhale its aroma as an oil is to truly know it has healing powers indeed. It's uplifting, cleansing, it's great for hair, for skin, but it's also great for the menstrual flow and to get it well flowing. Now, different schools of thought have different views of menstrual health because, of course, the suffering of women during their menstrual cycles is a common experience, but it actually doesn't have to be that way. And some cultures believe that it is this way due to a woman's body being out of harmony. I talked before about how some researchers believe premenstrual dysphoric disorder to be caused by childhood trauma, and trust and believe that trauma and emotional issues will completely throw you off, even to the point of affecting the whole body in one way or another. And so I don't understand how some people don't believe in mental illness when suffering trauma literally has that big of an impact on a person. And so the menstrual cycle is just that, a cycle, a phenomena that returns over and over. And menstrual pertains to something occurring monthly, just like the moon has a monthly course. And indeed, the menstrual cycle is going to follow the course of the moon for some women, for some not. In other words, you'll be menstruating or ovulating in correlation to the new moon or the full moon, one way or another, just because the amount of days in both the moon and menstrual cycle are relatively the same in the average woman, and the amount of days between a woman's period and ovulation. And then the new moon and full moon are relatively the same, with the average for both being about 14 days. But in traditional Chinese medicine, or TCM, menstruation is referred to as heavenly water. And just for the sake of drawing comparisons, they say the moon has water on it as well, and the water is ice. But of course, I don't know because I've never been to the moon. But anyway, in TCM, they also believe the spirit to be in the heart, and that also, as we know in Western thought, that the heart rules over the blood, with how blood goes to the heart and then the heart sends blood back out to the rest of the body. So in TCM, there is an energetic connection between the heart and the uterus, and as a result, the emotional health of your heart can greatly impact your menstrual cycle. In ancient Hebrew thought, the heart is also where the spirit is, as the mind and spirit are relatively the same thing, and the ancient Hebrews believed the heart to be where the mind and our thoughts resided. So the heart is the seat of our thoughts. The kidneys are actually the seat of our emotions, and the womb is the seat of compassion. The ancient Egyptians also held a similar view. So the heart is very important, and its well being is important to the well being of the uterus when you consider the channel that connects the heart and the womb. Now, there is actually a syndrome called broken heart syndrome, a condition brought on by stressful situations and extreme emotions. The American Heart Association published an article a few years ago talking about how childhood trauma increases the lifelong risk of heart disease regardless of one's overall health, which, side note, perhaps is why African American descendants of slaves tend to be genetically predisposed to heart disease. So, as you can see, trauma is a big deal and it affects the heart, and the heart's energy affects the uterus. Many cultures and schools of thought view the menstrual cycle and how a woman feels during that time as very telling to her overall health. But back to TCM for a second, because in this school of thought, they believe a warm womb is vital to menstrual health. And there's so much talk of feminine energy these days, but in this school of thought, being deficient in masculine energy, yes, even as a woman, can affect your period, as can being deficient in feminine energy or having an excess of feminine energy. What you eat, what you wear, all have an impact. When you expose your stomach, that can create a cold womb. And we don't want a cold womb. And a cold womb can be due to too much feminine energy and also related to physical manifestations such as endometriosis. So, a cold womb can lead to a physical manifestation such as endometriosis. And there are so many herbs that help with a variety of menstrual issues, but today we're just focusing on laurel leaf, a plant that is itself quite resistant to disease and pest and has the ability to warm the uterus. Bay laurel is indeed warming and has been used since antiquity for uterine disorders, amongst other things, just as the Testament of Solomon alludes to. With its warming action, particularly the berries as they are more warming, bay laurel is sure to warm the womb and get the menstrual flow flowing. And typically, bay laurel leaves are consumed in cooked food, but it can be a tea. Its berries, as mentioned, are utilized in cooking and medicine as well. And the oil of either the leaves or berries are used medicinally, with the berries, as mentioned, being more warming than the leaves, and aiding in a more warm, healthy womb, kicking out that invasive cold. And with its tonifying nature, it gets things moving, which leads to an overall balanced person. But that is all I have for you today. And if you found this video useful and want more herbal wisdom, wellness tips, and poetic and spiritual insight, please subscribe, and I will see you next time. Take care.